Welcome back. Let's talk about Bellevue, Washington, because there's 153,000 people that live inside of Bellevue, and it could be important to them, and it can be important to you as well. So let's just jump in, and thank you for joining me. So if you're new to my channel, you might know that I cover a lot of the areas outside of the Seattle city limits, and I also do a deep dive into Seattle. This is because a lot of people, when they're moving to the Seattle or even Washington area as a whole, they're not moving into Seattle directly. They're moving into like Bothell, Kenmore, Puyallup, Renton, that kind of thing. And that's why I cover these areas, so you have a general clue of what's going on inside of Washington, as well as your individual neighborhood. So Bellevue is located across two floating bridges that run both east to west. You have the 520, that's a local bridge inside of Washington, and then you also have the I-90. The 520 is tolled, just so you know, and the I-90 is not. And then like I said, it's about 13 miles east of the Seattle Space Needle, and it just depends if you're driving from the North Bridge or the South Bridge, and that's how you connect. It's also south of Redmond, south of Kirkland, and it's nestled in between the boroughs of Clyde Hill, Yarrow Point, and Medina, as well as Mercer Island, and it's to the north of Newcastle and to the west of Sammamish. Now that you have a general walk-on, let's actually talk about what's going on inside of this area. So inside of this area, one of the main, and this is something I didn't cover earlier, but one of the main employers in this area is Microsoft. And Microsoft is located actually in Redmond, but it's right on the line, so I'm going to include it for now in this area right here, the Overlake area. And this is a huge employer in the tech side, and that's actually increases our median income in this area to $153,000 a year. Also, this is right now the highest that I've noticed on the bachelor degrees. It's over 71% of the people have bachelor degrees, and there's 62,000 household units inside of this area. So just so now that you have a general idea of how much people make and their education style, you can see how when we get into our actual sales data that it will be a higher earner that's going to be purchasing in this area. Because if you came to me and you said, hey, Victor, I want to buy a house inside of Bellevue, Washington, I'd say, great. The average home right now is about $2.6 million. It's been on the market for 82 days. It's 3.5 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and it's about 2,700 square feet. So, what are you interested in? Because there's a lot of different things in between on that, but that's the available homes right now for purchase inside of Bellevue. And again, a lot of size, a consideration, if it's a condo, that kind of thing. There's a lot of things in between, but I want to give you a general idea of what the market rate is currently available for purchase. Now, this is for purchase. This is not actually closed sales, and this is what we're going to get into next. So in October of 2020, if you were to buy a house inside of the Bellevue, Washington area, the average house at that point in time, and this is the average house we're going to use moving forward, it's 2,300 square feet, 3.5 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. And again, style doesn't matter. We're just giving you a generic house to think of, 3.5 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and it's about 2,300 square feet. If you were to purchase a house inside 2020, it would cost you right below $1.6 million to actually purchase that. Now, if you were to purchase it and then hold on to it for only 1 year, it appreciated about 2% from the 2020 to 2021 of October. This is important because the last couple of areas that I've covered have had an increase of over 27% each from the 2020 to the 2021 of October numbers. Now, this is very specific, like I said, and this is a snapshot, but this is one of the higher value areas. So, they don't move as much in their numbers. But, when we go into 2022 October, as well as 2023 October, the numbers remained about the same. And as of right now, the closed houses inside of October 2023, so we just finished up these numbers 8 days ago, the average house is $1,664,000 sold. These are sold houses. Now, I want to get into the sales data side of it because, now you know the values of the houses being sold, But let's talk about the average of the houses being sold. So the actual numbers of the houses being sold inside of 2020 for October, there was 319. Then in 2021, there was only 194. So that's a 40% decrease. Then from 2021 to 2022, this is when our interest rates started changing. It went down to 123. So that's a 37% decrease. Now in 2023, where we are at right now with the interest rates, we had a slight uptick on that, and it's 131 homes actually completed in sale. And again, this is one of the areas that have the most immigration, the highest, both on the local and also international front. And this is a very high income area inside of this area. And that actually gets us into the mortgage side of it. Because if you're going to buy this $2,300 house, this 2,300 square foot house, that's 3.5 bedrooms, 2.5 bath inside of Bellevue, it's going to be $1.67 million. And that's roughly going to come out to with $150,000 down payment and today's interest rates. And again, I'm not a mortgage guy, so you can get a hold of me and I'll get you in touch with a mortgage person. And I might be slightly off because this is a jumbo loan. But your mortgage payment is going to be roughly $11,000 a month. And this is just your payment in your interest. This does not include any taxes, insurance, special assessments, or HOAs. So $11,000 a month. Not only that, but if you were to turn around and rent the house, because a lot of these people that come into this area, they actually don't stay for more than 2 to 5 years because they're tech workers or there's some sort of executive that comes into the area. So they rent a single family house often. And a single family house, that exact house that we talked about, the 2,300 square foot house that has 3.5 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, what it comes to is about $5,300 on the open market right now on a monthly basis. Because I figured out the rents in this area for the last 180 days are only $2.31 per square foot per month. So when you take that into consideration, it's actually half as much to rent right now than it is to buy. Now actually getting into the mortgage side of things, I use Investopedia, and some people have asked me where I'm getting these numbers from. And Investopedia has a credit score of 700 to 760 is the average with a 20% down. I'm using a 10% down for that example. Also for census data, because some people have asked me where I'm getting it from, it's actually from the Census Bureau. And let's get into the mortgage calculator because I'm using it just good old-fashioned Google mortgage calculator. And to actually qualify for this loan that we were talking about, this very expensive $1.7 million home purchase, you're going to be needing to make at least $350,000 to actually pull this off a year. And on top of that, the down payment's going to be pretty sizable to actually make this happen. So the reason why I'm doing this is not to talk you out of buying a house inside of the Bellevue, Washington area, or even inside of Washington at all, is actually to talk to you about what things cost in this area so you have a general clue of what you're actually getting into. And at the same time, I want to give you another resource for you. But you can also go to my website. It's victorashley.com, and I'm pulling it up right now. What it is a website that you can use to follow your local area as well as your home value, or you can just get more acquainted with who this guy is on YouTube. So thank you very much for joining me. As always, it was a pleasure working with you today, and I hope you have a fantastic day.